Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming back, or for those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Joanna the Medium, or Joanna. I am a medium. These are going to be your messages for the month of April 2019. I think on two videos I said March. Please disregard that. I was doing them in March. But they are for April. So if you hear March, it is April. It's in fact for April. What can I say? I'm going to be very brief. If you guys would like to have a session with me, a personal session with me, that information is down below. You know how to find me. For those of you who are my clients, thank you so much. For those of you who are watching, thank you so much. For those of you who are subscribing, thank you so much for giving me your time. And I'm going to state my intention. My intention is to give you something to think about. My intention is to inspire a thought. Hopefully a thought that will lead to a different conclusion, that will allow you to have a different perception, which then will allow you to shift your reality. So that is always my highest intention, which means sometimes certain things will come in terms of predictions, and sometimes it's going to be way bigger than that in terms of what's happening energetically. And based on that, you can decide how to use this information or this energy in order to help you. So that is my intention for you. Of course, it may not make sense to everybody. Everyone is different. However, I feel a majority of you will be able to understand these messages at some point, whether it's in April, May, or June, or the following months. For some of you, the energies you may have been feeling for quite some time already. So it may be an indication of what has been happening with you. Keep that in mind. And if nothing makes sense, don't worry about it, but do maybe check in down the road, because chances are it will make perfect sense to you. And also listen to your other signs. I also will say this, these energies or the messages, even though they're by a zodiac sign, it is very clear to me, and that's what I'm being told, that even if you are drawn to a certain sign that you don't normally listen to, let's say you click on one of my videos, you're a Cancer, but you click on Pisces, and I don't know, you clicked it because, I don't know, you just clicked it, and then all of a sudden there's some message in there that resonates with you 100%. Don't dismiss this message, because although it's not under your sign, it is a message for you, and therefore you're hearing it. So that's how I would encourage you to use my messages. They're mostly about universal laws. It's how things work and how things are being seen from a higher perspective, so to speak. And I think that's all I have. Extremely transformative month. Every single sign I've done, without a doubt, every single sign that I've done for April, extraordinary, powerful energy of transformation. And I know that March has been kind of feeling that way. I have certainly been going through my own transformation, and I know it's not over yet. It was actually incredible to see that in every single sign. So with that said, I'm going to just move on and let you enjoy the rest of the messages. I wish you best of luck. Of course, if you would like a private session, that information is down below. If you would like to comment, please do so as well. I always love hearing them or seeing them. Thank you again so much for giving me your time. Thank you for participating in my journey. It is actually because of you that I am on this journey, because if it wasn't for you, the listener, there would be no need for me to do this. So thank you once again. I wish you absolutely wonderful time in April, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Okay, let's get started. Hello, beautiful Virgos. These are going to be your messages for the month of April 2019. I want to start it in a slightly different way than I did with every other sign. So there is something different about you in terms of the energy. Just like the other signs, I see a lot of transformational energy and a lot of transitional energy, which means changes, not necessarily bad changes. Changes are, well, good changes as well, but even good changes have with it sometimes a moment of feeling uncomfortable. So there were two words that were shown to me that I heard when I was focusing on your energy. The first word was roots, and the second word was the moon. So some of you may connect just with those words individually, but for me, it signifies that the month of April would be advisable to spend some time at looking at the root of whatever problem you might be dealing with. Does that mean that there's going to be problems in the month of April? No, not at all. But chances are, if you are watching this video or any video of this sort, you are looking for some sort of a solution or resolution to whatever you're dealing with. I'm hearing the words transitional time. So I feel most of you who are listening to this are in a transitional space energy, can I say it that way? Completion, and you might have been going through it for a while. I am bringing this message at the end of March, but it does cover April and then months before, for some months after, and for some of you this may have already been happening in the month of March or even February. But so the month of April, very important. If there's anything that is on top of your mind in terms of preoccupying your thoughts, something that is bothering you, something that is needing resolution, something perhaps maybe you feel emotionally stuck or mentally stuck, it is important to look at the root of what the problem is. I'm trying to get an example. For example, if you are in conflict with someone and you have been in conflict with someone for quite some time and the conflict doesn't seem to be going away, one of the ways of looking at the conflict in order to resolve it is what is the root cause of the conflict within you? Never mind the other person. We often seem to look outside of us for answers to our questions, but the reality is the answer is always within us, and other people and situations only reflect to us what is inside. So if you're going through something like that example, you're having disagreement with somebody, or if you're fighting with somebody, or if you are in this conflict, ask yourself, what is the root of the conflict within you? Conflict only exists if more than one party participates. In other words, you can be at conflict with someone only if you participate in it. The moment you choose not to participate in it any longer, it's no longer a conflict with that person. You might have a conflict within yourself, then that's a different story. But essentially, what's being said here is pay attention to where your energy goes. So with the idea of conflict, for some reason, I'm being asked to share this particular example. And this could be conflict you have within yourself about a job you're in. This could be conflict you have with a person. This could be a family dynamic. This could be anything that is adversely affecting you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and hopefully not physically. And the reason why it's so important, because the month of April, March was, and April, apparently, from what I'm hearing, is very potent in terms of manifestation. In other words, anything we put our thoughts and conscious or unconscious effort to in terms of focus has the potential to what's the word I want to use, please? To come into our life in a physical form, to manifest in a very short order. And I have been experiencing this in my personal life. Things I focus on, they're good things. They come into manifestation very quickly, to the point that I actually have said to my friends, it's scary how quickly this works. So if you're struggling with something, look at the root of the problem, because you might realize that you're spending a lot of effort, time, and energy on something that you could resolve very quickly within yourself, and then you will be able to let the conflict go. The other aspect, the moon, is representative of looking at things that are in the dark, looking at shadow self, looking at things within ourselves that we have rejected, that we have neglected, that we don't like, that we don't want near us. We pretend we're something we're not. Moon symbolizes looking at the secretive aspect of who we are. So not necessarily you're keeping secrets, but what is hidden within you, emotionally speaking and mentally speaking, that may be causing perhaps a situation like a conflict with somebody, and observing it. And perhaps we'll talk in terms of how to do that, observing the situation and how you are in it and what conflict it is creating within you. Allowing yourself to see it may give you a pretty good understanding of what the real problem is. And for example, when we have problems with other people, how do I say this? When we are at conflict with other people and when we are emotionally very charged, there is something that is being charged within us that makes us feel a certain way. So I call those buttons. We have triggers and buttons. So when we're at conflict with somebody, for example, that person more likely than not is triggering something in you. And perhaps whatever is being triggered has you going crazy or mad. But at the end of the day, unless the person cannot trigger something that is not a part of you. So if you have any situations like that in the month of April and then down the road, because this can be applied to any part of one's life, it's important to notice these seemingly subtle things, except they're not subtle at all, because we have feelings and we have emotions, and those are often quite loud, sometimes not so loud, but sometimes very loud. The problem with that is that often we don't want to hear it. And we don't want to hear it for various reasons. We're afraid to hear it because if we hear it, then we have to do something about it. We don't want to hear it because we feel that we're beyond that. It doesn't feel good. Therefore, obviously, why would you want? I mean, there's a myriad of ways why we choose or pretend not to feel certain things. But our emotional body has a very specific reason, and that is to help us experience and help us have an experience on an emotional level. Therefore, it is extremely important that we are in touch with our emotional self. And personally, me working with clients every day and having done this type of work for a long time, it is apparent that many, if not majority of people that I am exposed to have difficulties with allowing themselves to feel. So, and why is this so apparent? Why is this so important in April? Again, because the manifestation process is working in your favor, always working in your favor. Therefore, whatever you put your mind and attention to, you will come to manifest, or it's highly likely that you will come to manifest. What's important is the feeling and the emotion. I've said this in my other videos. So if you haven't heard that, it's not so much what we want that we need to focus on the physical realm. It is whatever the physical thing is giving us in terms of emotion. When we focus on that, which is what fears are, when we focus on things and brings us fears, we bring forth more of the same. I think you guys get the picture. This is being said because many of you are either needing to let go of certain things, or it's time to close certain doors, or certain doors are in the process of closing. So yes, this could be in a more mundane way. You leaving a job, you leaving a marriage, you leaving a relationship leaving you. It's not a prediction, by the way. This is something that you are already in the process of, not necessarily something that is going to happen. So, that can be translated in various different ways. But let me go through the cards very quick. Although I don't feel I have to, I'm just going to kind of flow through it. For those of you who don't know me, if it's your first time, I'm not a tarot reader. I look at tarot cards and do my own thing, but I'm not a I don't know the traditional meanings all that well. So my interpretation of those cards may be very different than yours, but I would always encourage you to listen to your own intuition and your own interpretation. So what might be affected in the month of April? Well, lo and behold, the Eight of Cups in reverse, which is an inability to move on from something. holding on to something from the past, something emotional. So we're talking about, emotional scars. That's really what it is. And it is when we hold on to those scars in a way that, when we hold on to it, whether it be, suppressed anger, resentment, jealousy, envy, insecurity, whatever it is, when we hold on to that for dear life and we do it subconsciously, it's very hard for the universe to give you what you want. Because if you are holding on to something that is completely different than the vibration of what you want, then you're kind of at odds with each other, or your manifestation process is kind of pointing in two different directions. So there is no consistent focus in one direction. I'm hoping this is going to make sense. So again, any resistance that you are feeling in terms of something needing to be let go of, or you need to let go of something, again, it would be important for you to magnify the real reason why you are still there. For example, if you are in a relationship that is not satisfactory, that is hurtful, and all the other things, and deep inside intuitively that you've come to the end of the road. And this could also apply at a job, for example, or a career or friendship. It could apply to anything. If you, and so it's not working, and you are very aware of it, or maybe you are aware, but you don't want to be aware, and you're still there, and nothing is changing, but things are just not going to change. It's natural to resist moving forward, because moving forward means leaving something behind. And leaving something behind, generally for human beings, is connected to some sort of a loss. That's just how humans interpret things. We look at those things in terms of what are we losing, and typically not right away what are we gaining. So where was I going with this? So if you are in a situation where you're having a difficulty letting go, again, look at the idea of observing the roots. What is the reason that is holding you still there? That is holding you there still. What are the things that you are getting from this situation? And I always say, when I say it to most people usually say, well, I get nothing from it. And I always come back and say, you absolutely get something from it, because it's energetic exchange. In other words, you would not participate in an energy exchange of energy if you were getting nothing in return. So whatever you may be getting may not be, to your logical mind, a benefit, but there's absolutely a benefit that you are getting from it. So going with let's go with the relationship example. Let's say you are in a relationship that has come to an end. And how do I know that? Because there is a judgment card here. Something is coming to its finality. Something is being pushed through. Something is coming to a completion. A full circle is, you guys get the idea. But there's something final here. There's some kind of a finality. So if you are in a relationship like as such, it might be serving you, because at least you know what to expect every single day and you don't have to worry. And that's far better than, taking a chance on something you don't know and then you don't know what to expect. It's much, seems to be a lot more difficult for people to take that chance. So that's an example how you staying in a relationship that doesn't work is serving you. Everything always serves you. We may not always see it in our logical way as a benefit, but it's without a fail. Every single thing we do does serve us on a certain level, and it's usually on a subconscious level. So speaking of judgments, this is about realizing your true potential. Not this card, but just the message here. And in order for you to realize your true potential, you first have to allow yourself to move away from something that no longer works. And again, This would be like unplugging yourself from something that drains your energy, whether it is a job, a relationship, a commitment you have to something or someone. It could be a commitment to a loved one. It could be, again, anything that you are in exchange with, or an exchange with, as far as participating. So go with the analogy of being your full potential. Needing to let go of what no longer is working is a step in the right direction. However, you seem to be having a bit of a resistance or a bit of a challenge of letting something go. Again, if you're having difficulty of letting something go, examine the roots of the problem. Examine the reasons why you are still there. The Wheel of Fortune is just yet another indicator that things are coming full circle. You've been there, you've done that in a certain situation, and this may very well apply, and probably does to most of you, to the way you think, to the way you feel about yourself, to the way you show up in the world, to the way you communicate your truth or lack of it, to the way you allow the universe to give to you. There is, various ways this could be sliced or diced, but this is an indicator that you are approaching or are already at some sort of an end of a cycle. And because it's coming to me in this position, it's just saying me that there is resistance to wanting to let something go. And that's pretty much the same thing as not, holding on to something that no longer serves you, or not being able to move on. Let me just see where I want to jump. So another message here you have is rock bottom. So this is a message that basically says you have come as far as you can, and right now the road is splitting in 2 or 3, and you have to choose. In other words, you have come as far as you can in this situation. Now it's time to change. And again, it's number 10. So there is completions here written all over the place. Usually when we go through completions, and energetically speaking, our mass consciousness is undergoing tremendous shift. And we are all affected in various ways, some bigger, some smaller, some are aware, some are not aware. But essentially what's happening is we are becoming more of who we are. Now, some of you may say, that's not true, world is getting worse, but actually it's not that the world is getting worse, it's that the energies are affecting things in such a way that the garbage that has been deeply rooted is coming up to the surface, and the chaos of that is what we see. So this not only applies to mass consciousness, it also applies to you as an individual. So if there are any things coming up to the surface in your life right now where, for example, it triggers issues around rejection, it triggers insecurities around self-worth, it triggers insecurities about feelings of being left alone, or whatever is coming up to the surface right now, the analogy of oil and vinegar, it's coming up to the surface because wherever you're going, what you're believing about yourself right now is not going to mix. And I will call this a process of purification. Not necessarily overly stable process. I mean, if you've ever gone through a cleanse or have done some kind of physical, emotional detox or cleanse, it's not very pleasant. You are very restricted in what you can eat. Sometimes you can't eat at all. And, you guys get the picture. Usually it's not a walk in the park. So, and I'm saying this because if you have been feeling a bit off lately, your feelings may have been amplified. How do I say this? Your feelings were amplified by the energies that we are receiving. Can I say it that way? And what is happening is the things that have been floating deep underneath inside of you are coming up to the surface in order to be first acknowledged, because we cannot change something unless we acknowledge it's there, which brings me to my next point. being very honest with yourself in terms of what is real and what you want to make real, or you're trying to make yourself believe something is not. Again, another example being in a relationship where it doesn't serve you, and you know it doesn't serve you. You know you're not happy. You know you're done. Like you're dried out. But you tell yourself, no, this person is really good. They care for me. That's selling yourself a whole bunch of lies. I mean, yes, the person may be nice and all that kind of stuff, but it does not preclude, it does not, what is the word I want to say? It does not, basically you still feel not happy. And in order to move forward from this particular situation, and this could be a job or anything else, first you have to do a bit of a check-in with yourself and ask yourself, where am I? Where am I right now? And if we are in denial about where we are or what it is that we're dealing with, then it's very difficult to come up with solutions. Because whatever solutions we'll come up with based on what we tell ourselves, that solution is not going to serve us for very long, because it is fundamentally not addressing the real issue, right? So you might be staying in a relationship because you don't want to be alone, as an example. And you stay there, you don't feel very good, but your fear of being alone is worse than you being in a relationship that really draws the energy out of you. And if that's the case, then you have to decide what is more important to you. Is more important to you to be true to yourself, or is more important to you staying safe? Now, not for 1 second am I saying that you're not going to want to be safe. Everybody wants to be safe. We humans thrive, not just survive, but thrive on feelings of safety. However, this particular example, it shows fears around safety. So it doesn't mean that you're not going to be safe later at some point, as an example, with this particular example. But it does mean that your fear of being alone is stronger than how you feel about yourself in this relationship. And you have two choices here. Several choices. One is to accept what is, because fighting it or pretending it's not there, it doesn't serve you. It just prolongs the headache. So that's number one. Number two, resist the temptation to fix something that's not fixable. When we do that is because we do it because we want to give it a try, but we also do it after a certain point because we are not ready to make the next step forward. And oftentimes that step requires one to make a drastic move and make some drastic changes in terms of how they do things, and how they look at themselves. So if there's anything, it's a very general message, but I feel like it's general but specific. This is for those of you who have been dealing with something that you have had difficulty to let go of, whether it be a relationship, a job, a situation, a contract, what a combination of those things, including the things you say about you or your belief system. It is, you're in a transitional space, or we're in a transitional space, which means the energies are very supportive of our growth. So any changes you make right now in terms of you realizing on a conscious level what's going on has an incredible ability to catapult you forward in the right direction. It's interesting what happens when we stop fighting and we pause and we go, okay, I'm going to be very honest with myself, and I'm just going to be brutally honest. And then I'm just going to accept that that's what it is right now. Because unless you accept where you are right now, it's very hard to move forward. Acceptance is key here. And I'm not suggesting that one has to accept being in an abusive relationship. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying accepting the fact that you are still there, for example, and you're there for a reason, and it gives you something in return, even though you may not know what it is. but you're choosing to confront that within yourself, and you're choosing to move forward in a different way, in a different direction. So just watch, guys. Over the next few months, a lot of transformational stuff happening. I personally have been going through it as well, and it feels very amplified. So no difference for you. Makes perfect sense. Ultimate evolution is a message that basically says you are approaching a time of radical change. Radical change. And when I look at this card, it is evolving from place of fear to freedom. We all have fears. Fears are not necessarily bad. Fears are actually extremely important. One of the reasons why we have fear is to protect our life. So fear is very good. Unfortunately, 99% of the fears that we have are not real. They're imagined. So whatever fears you are dealing with, and you are, because you're a human being. For example, if you are stuck in a job that you hate, but you can't move forward, that's because there is a fear of you're holding on to some sort of a fear that is not allowing you to move on. So radical changes. It is important during this time, because it is a time of emotional cleanse. It is extremely important to, number one, don't try not to soothe yourself with things that you might later regret. Drinking, drugs, I don't need to tell you. You guys know what that means. Try to resist the need to drown your sorrows. Instead, use it as an opportunity to reshape your thinking. And that takes courage. And it is not a walk in the park, though I don't want to put too much emphasis on that, because life is not walk in the park for most people. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't. It's a combination of a whole bunch of things, and it's usually never just one thing. So where was I going with this? Oh, one more thing. Oteos is a message. This is a card, whenever I see it, I don't see it very often, so when it shows up, I'm kind of giddy, because this message says, the story has not been written yet. How will you write your story? And your future is pretty much determined by your patterns. Your patterns stem from your belief system. Most of our belief system is on a subconscious level, which means we don't have readily access to it. We don't have access to it readily. So we rely basically on our patterns in order to give us direction in life. And whatever patterns you have within you right now, and you can observe that by looking at your life and picking out patterns, that pattern is a pretty good indicator of what it is that you're about to attract or attract more of. Therefore, if you are wanting to experience something different, you need to be able to look at your patterns and then make a conscious choice to change it. There is just no other way around it. If you want to be happy, you have to start doing things that make you happy versus doing things that make other people happy. For example, there's just no way around it. And no one on this earth can do it for you but you, not even God. It comes down to free will, okay? And any kind of sadness from the past, any kind of unfinished business, any sort of pain from the past, it would be very useful to look at, not to wallow in it, but to acknowledge if it's in fact still there. And if it's still there, just kind of examine it. I do this with people all the time. It creates incredible cathartic release. And the moment we have awareness is when everything shifts. That's when the magic happens. Because the moment you have a different awareness, you can never go back. You can never forget it. You can choose to ignore it. You can choose to not do anything about it. But that's a choice. You have the awareness. So incredible times for everyone, and for you as well. The Luminous Warrior is a message to make sure that you don't get too preoccupied with what's wrong with you or what's wrong with other people. That more so than that, fill your thoughts with thinking about what is good and amazing about you and other people. Whatever we focus on, we will find more of the same. So if you are bent on finding faults in another, then you will find them. It's just the way it works. But if you change, as an example, and start looking at the good things that people have, and we all have combination of shit, excuse my French, but if you focus on the good things that people have, it completely changes your focus and your direction and your energy, first and foremost, energetic direction. Because you're looking for things that are good. And when you look for things that are good, you seek those out instead of the things that are not good, which when you focus on those, you seek those out as well. So a huge shift of awareness here. Incredible opportunity to be the king or the queen of your castle and to yield your power accordingly. And I always say, not always, lately, we don't give power away. It's impossible to give our power away. We are beings full of power. Power is innately a part of us. We cannot give it away. It doesn't exist. What we do, however, is we choose not to exercise our power, and for a gazillion reasons. Is there anything else that I want to say to them? Have faith in your ability to make a change for the better. The universe supports you. Whether you call it God, universe, Buddha, the source, whatever name you give it, makes no difference to me. The universe supports you. If you are hearing this message and something rings true and you think of a scenario in your life, chances are this is exactly what you were meant to hear. So I'm going to leave that with you. My intention is to always give you something to think about, to spark new awareness, to spark a new thought. And I hope I have been able to accomplish that. So, of course, this is general. It will not fit for everyone, although majority of you will understand this at some point. If it's not right away, the beginning of April or whenever you hear it, do check back in next few weeks or few months. And I'm noticing that the messages that are coming through lately, they're very fluid, and there is a lot of time space. So some of the signs I talk about between now and the end of this year. So these messages will come into play at various times to various people. And I think that's all I've got. Take care of yourself. Promise yourself one thing, and that one thing is that you feel important. And allow yourself to feel important. And I'm not talking about the ego importance. I'm talking about the true feeling inside when you feel solid. Drink more water, less beer, if that's what you're into. And of course, for private sessions, that information is down below, but you guys are smart. You know how to find it. And with that, I'm going to leave it. And I wish you best of luck. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye.